Hey everybody, welcome back to Figure Friday. I'm Dylan, and today we have got a spicy one for you. This is another 2-for-1 statue. We are reviewing NT Studios Marin 1/4 scale resin statue. By 2-for-1, I mean it's the DX version, so it comes with 2 bodies, 2 heads, and 2 bases. However, one is far too spicy for YouTube, so we're just going to be reviewing one of the bodies with one of the heads and one of the bases so you guys can get an idea of what this statue looks like. If you'd like to see the other body, go ahead and Google it for yourself. Today we're going to be reviewing this version right here. All right, let's dive right in. We are reviewing the 1/4 scale resin statue from NT Studios of Marin from My Dress Up Darling. She is a whopping 12 kilograms. This is probably one of the heaviest statues I've ever owned. That base is solid resin, and boy, it is heavy. Make sure you have some solid support underneath. If you're displaying this one in your collection, no glass shelves for this one. She's pretty big, 29 centimeters tall, 38 centimeters wide, and 28 centimeters deep. She fits right into that 1/4 scale line, so her scaling's pretty solid. She retailed for $475, and if you're trying to buy her now in the aftermarket, you're probably paying about the same price, maybe slightly less. Her price didn't go any sort of skyrocketing or crazy like some of those statues do. You can find her right around the $400 to $500 mark. This pose recreates the very popular scene from My Dress Up Darling where Gojo takes Marin's measurements for the first time, and this statue depicts that scene very well. She's giving a very cheeky wink to the viewer, and overall it looks like the pose was pulled straight out of the anime. She was super easy to assemble, only a few pieces to put together, which is really nice. She has a swappable head, a couple of accessory parts, and she does come with a metal plaque, which is always nice to have a little accessory to display alongside the statue. And this is a really good example of how a laying down pose can have a lot of presence in that statue collection. If we take a look at the sculpt, it's very reminiscent of the anime. She's got a very anime-esque head, anime-esque features, and her proportions are a little bit out of whack when it comes to what Marin's body is in the actual anime. Obviously her bust is way bigger than what it would be from the show. Other than that one fact, she actually is proportioned pretty well. Like we mentioned before, she's at 1/4 scale, and this does meet those measurements for being 1/4 scale. She does have a few extra parts on her outfit that aren't from the show, namely on her arms and on her neck. Those are just seam line hiders. Every now and again you'll have a statue that has something like this where it's like a choker or an armband, and that's where certain parts and pieces have to be connected, either via magnets or glued. In this case, she's got a swappable head, so that choker hides the seam line of where her head and neck actually come apart. Now the base on this statue is very cool. I love the futon as the base. I love the underbase that it's on with the Japanese nameplate. That's really nice. And then the paper wall behind her is an awesome added touch. They could have just left it with the futon, but they added that wall behind her and it creates way more ambiance with the statue. Now I did mention you get a second base. The base is exactly the same minus the wall behind her. Speaking of that second statue, of course it's the lewd version and it comes with a bunch of different accessories that we will not be showing in this video. But just know if that's your thing, it does have extra bits and bobs that you can have displayed with this statue if you choose. She does have a swap out head, which is super nice. The other head sculpt is just a casual smile, and this one I have displayed here is the winking face. I do think the winking face is much cuter and way more fun to display on the statue, so that's what I rock all the time. Unfortunately, my second head did come with some hair breaks. Luckily, the one that I'm displaying did not, but be careful if you are ordering this statue. Mine did come with a good handful of breaks. I think her hair and then one or both of her arms had broken at the seam point, luckily, so I was able to glue them back on with some super glue. But yeah, sometimes you get breaks and that sucks a lot. In this case, the hair did break off on that second head. Not much you can do about it other than just kind of glue it back on. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the like button. It is completely free and it helps this video way more than you may think. Now let's take a look at that paint. With these simple statues like this, paint makes or breaks the piece, and this one's pretty good. The skin is nice and smooth, it's consistent across the board. You do have some decals for eyes, which I can't complain about when you're talking about anime-esque heads. I think they look pretty solid with those. The swimsuit has the flower pattern painted on it. She's got her nails and her toenails done. And then the futon, of course, has the pattern that you see from the anime. Overall, it looks pretty solid. I don't think anything stands out in an obnoxious way, and it all ties together really well. Last but not least, with the paint, you have the ombre in her hair. It is straight from the anime, pink to blonde. The pink's a great color. I think the blonde is a little bit too yellow in my opinion. I would have gone with a softer tone, but overall it's not too drastic, and I think it looks pretty solid with this piece as a whole. Okay, now no statue is perfect, so let's go over some of the things I dislike about this statue. As I mentioned before, and this is no fault of the statue, it did come with a couple of breaks. I had a handful of hair breaks, both of her arms were broken off. A little bit of super glue goes a long way and we were able to get those attached back on there, but it was for both bodies. So clearly NT Studios didn't do a very good job packaging this, and honestly, that's on them. They should have had better quality control, better foam and packaging, hopefully better handling from the mail carrier, but a statue shouldn't be arriving with 5, 6, 7 different breaks. That's way too many for it to just be coincidence. That's starting to get into quality control from the actual manufacturer. Secondly, Marin's chest is way too big. This may be for some people, but I prefer much more accurate to the source material for the character. And on this one, they made her extremely busty and it just doesn't really fit for Marin. As I mentioned before, the rest of her proportions were pretty solid, so if they would have trimmed that back even a little bit, I think this would have looked better. Lastly, I'm not really thrilled with the hair paint. As I told you guys before, I think it's kind of flat. There's not a lot of texture to it. The blonde is way too yellow, like a yellow orange. If they would have toned that blonde back and maybe had a better paint or a better application, I think it would have looked better overall. Lastly, for this one, it is so heavy. 12 kilograms is way too heavy for a resin statue, and it's just difficult to display. You have to be really careful what you put it on, and only a handful of shelves can actually hold this kind of weight. No need to make the bases solid resin. That's just unnecessary. Make it hollow, or make it out of something else. That's crazy that it weighs so much. Now for my wish list on this statue, I really don't have a ton of things that I wish for to make this statue better. I really like the base. That's probably the key thing that ties this all together. I wish they would have maybe gave us a more realistic head. I like having that as an option as opposed to just anime head swap outs. I do like the realistic head version, but I do think that it would fit funny on this statue because of her proportions. I think with such a simple character and a simple pose, they did a really good job bringing this all together. At least from like a few feet away. If you have like the 5-foot rule, I think this is a really solid statue. Anything closer than that and you start to see a lot of the inconsistencies and problem areas. So keep your distance and this looks great. All right, review is finished. Last thing to do is check out some sweet B-roll of NT Studios Marin. For the price, I think you are actually getting a really solid deal on this statue. You basically get 2 for 1 if you get the DX version. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Is this a good Marin statue? Is it the best one? I think this is honestly one of the best 1/4 scale Marins on the market. Any other 1/4 I haven't found to be as nice. I do think there are better 1/6 scale ones out there, and I actually have one that we will be reviewing later. So keep an eye out for that as we go along. I would love to hear what you guys think in the comment section down below. Please consider subscribing and I will see you guys in the next Figure Friday. One last thing, don't forget I do have my affiliate link in the description box below for Hobby Link Japan. If you guys are gonna be buying anime figures anyway, follow that link. It doesn't cost you any more money and it gives a kickback to the channel. And I would really appreciate it if you guys are gonna be shopping for some new statues. Send them to me online. I would love to see what you guys are buying. All right, now we're out of here. See ya.